I think we're live. I think we're live. I think we're live. We're live. We're live. Just a quick stream. I'll wake up in a minute. I'll wake up in a minute. Are we live? Yeah, it seems to be live. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, Kai. Yeah, we seem to be live. So I was just going to talk about a bunch of stuff, probably. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. See how interested I am in the stream. Oh, I am tired. It's gone horrible here in Old England. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, dude. I think you're the only one in here. I think you're the only one in here. Yeah. So I don't really know what to talk about. We'll wait and see if anyone else shows up. And then I'll have some rants. Help me wake up. Oh, man. It's not... I'm going to the seaside tomorrow. And it's throwing it down. It's grim, it's grey. It's typical British weather. Just damp and grey. I mean, it was very, very hot, and I miss the heat now. Especially to go to the seaside. When I booked this like a month ago, it was still in the depths of the heat wave. And now I'm going up to the Yorkshire coast in the rain. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. 3 days. Ridiculous. But yes, it's the 6 weeks holiday, so, you know, my kid's not at nursery. It's great. It was warm last night, yeah, but it's horrible today, man. It's horrible today. It's horrible today. It's got me down. I was going to have a look at this because there's some funny bits in it. But first of all, we should discuss... Can I pull up an example? Let's see if I can get an example. Let's see if I can get an example. See if I can get an example. Let's see if I can get an example. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. So yeah, GW has done a new logo. It's pretty dire. It's getting ripped on the interwebs. It is a downgrade. But I know why they've done it. So like GW is going through a respectability phase, a transition to a respectable company. What's more, they don't want to have this logo appearing at the end of the Henry Cavill movie, TV show thing that's coming out. They want something respectable, like this popping up. They don't want this because they fear that it's going to affect their respectability. So they're going for a rebrand to put this out to become respectable. But obviously, it's a bad move. They should just stick with that. It maintains a sort of joyous atmosphere with the... It encompasses everything that Games Workshop's supposed to be. But Games Workshop isn't that really anymore. It's a much more corporate entity than it was before. But it always has been. I mean, just as an example, other like shopping chains, other like commercial enterprises with staff and the like, they send their staff to Games Workshop to be trained, or at least their management, to imbibe, and Games Workshop charges obviously for this. It's not out of the kindness of the heart, but it's so people can learn the dark arts of retail mastery, and Games Workshop is a pioneer of that in every possible way. So, yeah. So yeah. So yeah, that's why they're doing it. It's because they're trying to go for they're trying to become a bit more respectable, and it's a downgrade, obviously, but in terms of the image they want to portray to investors, because that's what this will be used for mostly. Have I got a giant vein in my head? Am I just getting old? I'm starting to get like giant. That's ridiculous. I never noticed that before. Yeah, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about it, but that's the reason why, because they're trying to transition into being a much more respectable investment to people. I mean, they already are, but they want that big money invested. And that TV show, when it comes out, I mean, I'm concerned, you know what I mean? I'm hoping it's good. You know? But I think this is the main rationale. This is going to have cost them like the better part of $100,000 as well, to get a design company and a marketing company, whatever, Mad Men style, you know, to come in and change their logo and stuff like this. So I imagine you're going to see a lot more changes and stuff like that, at least on the corporate investment side of things, how they portray themselves. But yeah, that seems to be, at least in my eyes, why they're doing it. So yeah. But we'll have to see how things go. But I think that's what the rationale is. The main rationale is to have a bit more of a respectable, because in their eyes, they don't think this is a respectable image. This is a respectable image, and this will be appearing at the end of the TV show when it comes out. So all the marketing, all that, because I think they're going to really push that. And I think Amazon, because of recent failures on other things, Lord of the Rings, that Wheel of Time thing, The Expanse, I guess, was a failure. They really want this Warhammer. They're going to want this Warhammer thing. Whoever's taken over, I forget who. But, you know, by osmosis, you pick this stuff up, right? With all the stuff that goes on the internet where you watch stuff and read things. I think they're really, really going to try and make sure that the Warhammer thing is a big success, especially because of the. It's going to be quite apparent, if for nothing else, than the success of the that Hidden Levels thing. The only one people were talking about was the Warhammer one, was the Titus one, and I don't even think that was Titus, to be honest. It doesn't make sense in the story, but it could have been any Space Marine, I guess, but they tied it into the obviously it was based on the computer game, but yeah, they're gonna want this to be a massive success, and so GW is thinking we need to have a bit more of a respectable image in order to cash in on this cachet that's going to be coming into our it's going to be from all the eyeballs on our company. So yeah, that's why they're doing this. I mean, I say it costs like 50, 60, 70 grand, probably 100 grand, a redesign like this, a corporate redesign like this. But because that's everything, right? They'll have graphic designers providing every size. I mean, it's not really a hard job, to be honest, but they'll charge that. But it won't actually cost Games Workshop anything, because it'll just come out of their taxes. You know, they'll just claim that back on their taxes. It's a business expense. But yeah, that's my thinking on it. The videos had to go down, man, because I got a copyright strike on a bunch of them. And they want strike for using GW art, so I decided it was probably for the best to possibly take down everything in the short term. I'll be re-uploading stuff as we go along, but just to be on the safe side, because there's not really much you can do about that. So yeah, that's it really. I've gone through this on multiple streams in the past. I'm not going to belabor the point now, and there's nothing much to say really. I'm not going to whinge about it. It is what it is. All the audio versions of everything is available on the podcast feed. Go to your normal podcast provider. Things will be returning as we go along, so don't worry about that. 100k for 5 seconds in Word. Yeah, I know, man. I mean, it's an easy gig, right? But you're gonna. I used to work in like, don't get me wrong, extremely low level, but I used to have to go to these meetings and stuff like that. I used to work in marketing a very long time ago now, so I know, and like the design side, the ideas side, the ideas factory, and various other sort of corporate-y type things I like to do. That's what I'm drawing on. That's what I'm drawing on. That's the experience I'm drawing on, and I think that's correct. And don't get me wrong, I was very low. Looking forward to Secret Levels 2 and the Cavil show. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I'm hopeful. It's just I've seen that Lord of the Rings mess was dire, you know? They butchered Wheel of Time. Yeah, people say, I never read the Wheel of Time book, so I don't know. All I know is what I've heard. But I think they're going to I think there's been a shift. And I think they're going to attempt to stick to the lore-ish more than they probably would have done in previous productions, should we say, because they really want this to be a big success. And yeah, GW do give management workshops. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're quite famous for it. They provide workshops is the way to do it. Workshops training on how to master the retail space. I don't know how they word it, but I remember seeing a booklet or something years ago, and I've been told this from multiple people as well. So, like, you know, your big retail chains in the UK and abroad, they will send teams to Nottingham, to the HQ, and do like training seminars and stuff like that. You know, how to get the most out of your staff and blah 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 blah. How to push, how to upsell, that sort of thing. Because they are the best at it. They are the best at it. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Because I mean, the woman who was running, Amazon Prime, as I understand it, she's been given the kick after the failure of the Lord of the Rings thing, because she's had like just a constant chain of failures. So I don't know. And I think the whole thing with the Lord of the Rings, I think the reason why it's that was the last straw for them is they put that much money into it, obviously an insane amount of money. But also, it was like Bezos' son. He's a big Tolkien head, so you can imagine, you know what I mean? You can imagine how furious he was and how disappointed he was. And then he's going to his dad, you know what I mean? And his dad's like, "Whoa, what do you mean? You know what I mean? I'm getting married in Venice. What's going on?" You know what I mean? His son was like probably kicking off about it. I can imagine, you know what I mean? You've got to go back into like 18th century mentality of like aristocrats and lords, right? That's the world we're in now for the most part. With these super rich people, you got to adapt your thinking, and you got to get back into you want to change things. You got to become friends with powerful people, and get them to complain to their dads. That's how you got to get favour in court, and I think the Lord of the Rings thing for sure was the last straw for this current crop of people who are running Amazon Prime for old Bezos in his Temple of Doom. The esoteric teachings of late stage capitalism. Well, I mean, I wouldn't put it that much. I mean, it's always been the way. You know, it's always been the way. I mean, you know, cathedrals used to make money out of pilgrims by selling them merch. You know what I mean? It's these things. Nothing's new. You know, nothing's new. It's always the same. You know, it's always the same. It's always the same because people are fundamentally the same as they ever were. Now, there's different kinds of people, but those archetypes always come back in the cycle. Uh, yeah. Yeah, Darth Pistol. I don't take it personally because I don't think it was anything. I don't think in terms of like me getting struck and other people not. I mean, for some reason, well, I think other people have been struck. That's the thing. Other smaller creators. It's not that there's an individual person. I mean, perhaps, but knowing a thing or two about a thing or two, this is going to have been and I don't want to go into super detail. There's no need to, but essentially, this is an automated process. This is an AI agent scanning based on certain parameters, and I just got flagged up for whatever reason. So yeah, I very much doubt there was anyone involved. Perhaps someone clicking a yes button, but they would have no. They would be clicking the yes button on probably hundreds of things a day, if you get me. So I don't take it personal, and there's nothing to be said about it really. There's no point in whinging. But everything will return. We will ascend to our great heights again. It's going to be fine. So yeah, damn Legion. I mean, perhaps. Like I say, I've told everybody because the AI will improve and it will scan more stuff and so on and so forth. And there's ways around this. You can edit images so they don't immediately flag up to. Like, there's only so much you can do with AI at the minute. There's a lot you can do with AI at the minute, but there's ways around these things for the time being. But like, I know, just projecting forward into the future in terms of what it can do now, you've got to think about its capabilities in a couple of years' time. Not even that long. So it will progress from there. So editing your images in, you know what I mean, like cutting out a character and putting him in a different background and stuff like this, that'll work for so long. But eventually, I mean, and there is things as well, like there is things you are just allowed to do. You are allowed to do that. You are allowed to be creative with existing things, there's fair use. So, yeah, it depends how you want to do it. My thing now is I'm never, ever going to use any official artwork in anything I do, within reason, more or less. And for the most part, anyway, I'm just going to have to, and as well, some people might not like this, but it's just necessity. I've got to do it. I'm going to be using like sort of generic science fiction. Themey, right? I'm going to theme it around whatever I'm talking about and stuff like that. But it's going to be, as you can see from the 2 videos I've put up, if you've watched them, I hope you have. And it's going to be like AI art that's generic and stuff like this. Because for one, I haven't got the money or the time to go working with artists, and especially to make, like I've said before, I'm not going to pay an artist to draw me a picture of like a muddy trench. You get me? It's generic science fiction stuff, just to bang it, just to pop in the video so there's some kind of visuals. Cthulhu, yeah. It might have been the shorts, but none of the shorts got flagged, so I don't know. But it was a mix of things. There was a couple of review videos, old review videos, book review videos. There was only like one lore video, and it was review videos for the most part. I think it was because I had an image in there, and I just left the image just there. Like, it was a couple of ranty videos as well, and I usually don't put much effort into them in terms of like the visuals and stuff like this. I'll just have my audio recording and then plonk an image on there, and I think that's what flagged it, because they were on there for so long. So whatever parameters their algorithm has their tasking is, if an image shows up for more than 5 seconds or something like this, or more than a minute, then we flag it as some kind of breach. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You can't fight that sort of thing. At least I couldn't. So yeah, we are where we are. But yeah, just the day it happened, I was just like, I'm going to have to get rid of everything because I can't be sure. You get me? And if this happens a couple of times, I'm screwed. So, yeah. So that was it. That was the reasoning. My guesstimation is the AI agents thing will challenge failures. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, this is what I said. I spoke to some... I don't want to go into this. I don't want to reiterate everything I've said before, because I have already discussed all this stuff before, and I appreciate what you're saying. I just don't want to go into it all again. You know what I mean? This happened 2 months ago now. This happened June. So I don't want to go into it too much. But yeah, essentially, Chris, yeah, people said this, and I know this. It was always the audio. It's the audio. It's the sounds that people have. It's the story people are after. So I'm not too fussed really about that. It's just you've got to put something up there. So I have to take a little bit of effort in terms of, you know, building these things and stuff, making these images and stuff. And there you go. It's just necessity. And I know people don't like the AI thing. I'm not super keen on it, but it is insane what it can do. I can see why people are, you know, I can see why people are into it. But yeah, that's it really. This logo thing. I mean, for us, it's a downgrade. But for them, it makes perfect sense. It's a logical thing to do. Now, I don't like that, but that don't make it any less true. You get me? So, there you go. There you go. The other news, I guess, is people are furious with Horus Heresy. They're saying it's dead. There's a guy called Mordian Glory. I haven't watched his video. There's a guy called Mordian Glory. He seems like a nice guy. He said nice things about me in the past. But Mordian Glory's put a video out, and people are. Someone told me to watch that. I haven't watched it. I apologise, Mordian Glory. It's nothing personal. It's just I haven't got time. But unless we watch it now, I think it's like an hour long now, so I don't know. We'll see how I feel in a bit, maybe. But yeah, that's it basically. I mean, people are saying that people are very unhappy with how Heresy's gone. Now, I never played Heresy. When this Saturnine thing was, I was considering doing it, but I decided not to in the end because I just play Lord of the Rings. So I don't really care about any of these other ones, except for like the lore and like, you know, oh, that looks nice. Yeah, people aren't happy. People aren't happy. I might watch that video. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, thank you, Damn Legion. No, I really appreciate it. I mean, obviously. There's a bunch of you guys. There's a core group of people who've been watching the stuff from the start, and that's built on. There's a core group of people, and then there's a bunch of people who like came along lately or whatever. And I really appreciate everybody's support. It's a tough one, like I say. It's what can you do? You know, I made the best choice I could at the time. I could have taken a bit more of a risk and left stuff up and everything like this, but yeah, I figured it was probably. I just had to, you know, I had to think about it. Instantaneously, to be honest. I looked at everything, I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to get rid of everything and rebuild. So I'll just rebuild. Oh, Max, thank you, man. I'm glad you liked it, yeah. And for those of you who don't know, I've got 2 videos out now. I got Fall Acadia and the Fracture of Biel-Tan. I'll be doing a video based on the events from Rise of the Primarch. It's coming out 2 weeks' time. I've got to record it. I haven't recorded it yet. I'll probably do some streams recording bits of it. That'll probably be quite a big one, I think. That'll probably be about 4 hours long. But that'll wrap up that series. And then I'm going to work on the Sabbath Worlds. So that'll be the previous video. For the most part, I've got to make some tweaks to it. And obviously get rid of all the visuals. But that was my first series I did on YouTube. That's how I started off doing YouTube, doing the Sabbath Worlds Crusade. So a lot of the earlier videos, the earlier parts of it are a bit crap in terms of the audio. I think the writing's fine. But in terms of my the presentation that I was doing and the audio quality, it's a bit crap, but it improves as we go along. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. Many of you have probably watched it. It was quite popular. I'll be putting that out once I've done Rise of the Primarch. But I just had to sit down and be like, okay, what am I going to do? Okay, I'll do Fall Acadia. I'll do this chunk of stuff, and then I'll work on some of the older stuff. So that was really my mentality, because I couldn't face sitting there and just editing stuff, you get me. But there's a bunch of stuff I've got to put up, a bunch of older videos that are perfectly fine. I've just got to get rid of the visuals. It's just sitting down and having the time to do it. I mean, I should be doing that now, but I'm waffling to you guys. Thank you, Don Leon. Brad, I appreciate that, Brad. But don't go out your way too much, man. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. But I appreciate it. It'll do fine anyway on its own. So don't worry about it. I mean, if you're looking at the views now, like I've put a video out. My videos have never done the viral thing, if you get me. They've never done the viral thing. They've always been slow burners. And the problem is with that is that YouTube has changed the algorithm last year, like October time, and it doesn't favour that kind of thing anymore. But it's still fine, you know. Like, it's still fine. I mean, you know, basically I just leave videos up there and they just generate views forever. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it would be nice if I put a video out and it got 100,000 views in the first day. That'd be fantastic. But I've never really had that. I mean, I think the best I ever did, the one time, I put a video out and it got like 30,000 views. Oh, no. There was one video. What did I do? I put something out and it got 125,000 views in one day. And it had been out a while as well. I don't know why it went viral. It had been out like a month or two. And then all of a sudden one day it just went... Whoosh, and I was like, oh, Jesus. And then it crashed immediately afterwards. So it must have been up on trending for like a day. I never actually worked out what happened. But like that was a rarity. But the majority of my videos, I would be very surprised if I ever got like 10,000 views in the first week. You get me? Like 10,000 views in the first week is probably about right for me. The nature of my channel, the content that I do, my audience, 10,000 views is about right. So just put a new video out now. It's got like, I put it out on Friday, which wasn't a good idea. I should have left it till Sunday. Sunday's the best day for me. I'm going forward, videos will be going out on Sundays. But I put it on Friday because I had a bunch of stuff to do yesterday. So I had to get it done. Anyway, I don't go into it. But, and I'm going away tonight, see, so I can't do it today. But 10,000 views is probably about my average, my normal amount around that for a video within a week. My Fracture of Biel-Tan video, it's gone out on a bad day. It's not... Out of the 3 videos I put out in this series originally, that was always the least popular one as well. So bear that in mind, right? I was expecting it not to do super well because it's Eldar. But I got to do it because it's a 3-part series, right? But because you can't leave it out because it's like explains a lot of stuff about then what happens between Fall of Cadia and the Rise and Guilliman returning. But I put it out. And it's got like 3,500 views. It's not too bad. I mean, it's not the best, obviously, but that's normal for me. That's normal for me. Yeah, Sabbath Worlds will be coming back soon, and then in September we'll have a bunch of stuff. In September, I'm hoping to have the live stream back on, so a lot of your old favourites will be playing on there, even if they haven't been uploaded yet, or they might not ever be uploaded. We'll see how things go, because I've got to think long term, boys, as well. So you've got to bear with me on that. But the live stream itself. Will be back, so if you want your Warhammer radio just to sit and listen to random stories as they cycle through my little TV station, then my little radio station, then yeah, you're in for a treat. Yeah, people don't like the Eldar though, because I mean it's just because they're aliens, you know. Well, there's no point whinging. I mean, it's only YouTube. You know what I mean? It's only YouTube. I enjoy doing this. I've been doing it a long time. It's done well for me. So I can't complain. You know, it is what it is. You got to roll with the punches. You know what I mean? Obviously, I was very panic-stricken the day it happened. But pretty much once I made the decision's made. So I've had to work out a few things afterwards and plan out what I'm going to be doing and stuff like that. But other than that, there's nothing to be said. There's nothing to be said. And the Ecclesiarchy, dude. Well, the points of everything. When I relaunch the live stream, which I won't be doing until September. Once I do that, it'll be starting again in September. It's mostly because I'm away a lot this month, and I won't be able to like just leave my computer running, if you follow me, because that's what you have to do. So yeah. September the live stream will come back, and probably we'll see. Maybe Execution Hour I'll re-upload. I mean, look, everybody loves Execution Hour. Out of all of them, I can upload first or ever. everybody loves Execution Hour. I know some people like Points of Chaos. I know some people like Eye of Terror. These are all favourites of mine. Obviously, that's why I did them. But Execution Hour is a massive favourite from everybody, and it is one of the best 40k books ever written. And I even had Gordon Reaney message me personally, the man himself, say thanks for doing this. You know, like he was like happy that people, because this book's obviously been out of print for, I mean, I think it was like the year 2001 or something like this. It's been out of print for a long time, and he hasn't worked for them for years. And he was saying, you know, it's great you've done this. You know what I mean? Get my name right though. He says it's not Reaney. It's not Reaney. It's like Renee from that show. What the fuck is that show? You know, that old TV show where it's the French resistance against the Germans. I forgot that. He's Renee. You know. He said it's you say it like that. It's he corrected me. So yeah. Yeah. Well, Brad, don't go out your way on my account. I really appreciate it, but don't go out your way on my account. You know what I mean? It's cool. It's cool. I'm cool. Everything's cool. It's fine. Like I say, I've just obviously the channel's taken a big hit because like my entire catalogue's gone, and people really like that stuff. You know, so yeah, it's a problem, but you know, it's all right. Hello. Yeah. That's how you say Gordon Reaney. Gordon Renee. It's Gordon Renee. It's French. So, yeah. Brad J. I'm afraid not, man. I'm not going to be able to do any narrations for anyone else or anything like that at the moment. I've just got too much on, man. I just got too much on. And I don't normally, and like, to be frank, I don't normally do that. I get a lot of people asking me to do that sort of thing. And, well, for one, and this isn't a comment upon you, it might not be very good. You might think it's great. I might read it and think it's terrible. That's no comment on you. I don't know what your stuff is. Two, I don't know how popular it'll be. You get me? Like, and again, not to be offensive, but it might be a waste of my time, if you get me. I don't know how many people are going to want to hear that. And free, if I do it for one person, I've got to do it for everybody, because everybody's going to be asking me then all the time. So I have like a fairly strict no policy on doing sort of homebrew stuff from people and all that sort of thing. You get what I'm saying? So, yeah. Unless it gets to desperate measures, then you can find me on whatever it is. 5-star. What is it? Whatever it is. The thing where you can pay people to do audiobooks for you for like pennies. Maybe if things get drastic for me in the future, I'll be on there and you can hire me. But at the minute now, I've got to say no. Apologies, but I can't. I'm surprised. Yeah, cool, man. That's cool. Like I said, I don't mean any offence personally. I don't know you that well. I don't know you at all. I know you in the comments. That's it. But it's not a personal slight or anything like this. It's just it's something I've had to decide over the years, because you have no idea how many people have asked me this, and these are my free issues with doing that. Yeah, and just a practical thing at the moment. I have not got the time to do that. I barely got the time to do my own stuff. Oh, well, yeah, I wouldn't do it for free either. I'd charge you. Could you make some horrors? Well, when the live stream returns, basically everything will be played as it always was. On the, you know, everything will play through. So you're just gonna have to come and hopefully you see what you're after. You know, it'll just be like it always was. And that's the thing. The annoying thing was, I think I mentioned before. I mean, this is just a whinging session now, isn't it? This isn't what I meant to talk about. I'm going to go and have a cigarette in a minute. But what I was going to say was my channel gone through a bit of a bump. Everybody had as well. I've got like some tools, I've got like vidIQ, and it will tell you like how channels are performing and stuff like this. So like every channel, pretty much, everybody had a dip about the same time I did. Now unfortunately for me, my dip was quite gradual. It was like it was like a 10%, 20% drop every month for like 6 months. But a lot of people had a massive dip because they changed the algorithm, and the Warhammer thing got like shredded. I remember people talking about this at the time, and I was like, so I'm fine. It's not going to happen to me, is it? But it did happen to me. And I've been working my arse off this year to try and right that ship. And it worked. And it worked. And again, maybe because the shorts, as someone mentioned there, the shorts were starting to do quite well. The live stream, I wasn't doing live streaming much at the time, but the videos were doing all right. They were doing standard, you know what I mean, like as to be expected. And the month June or May, I finally got out of the rut I was in. No more decline. It was a boost. You get me? We went up in every metric, back in the green on everything, and I was dead chuffed with that. I was like, finally, you know what I mean? It's paid off. It's worked. But then started June, that happened. So yeah, so it's even more frustrating because I've been working hard on this YouTube stuff the last 6 months. Put a lot of stuff out. But anyway, what can you do? What can you do? It is what it is. You know, we'll get back to where we were. Yeah, Execution Hour will probably be the one I put up first. Well, Sabbath Worlds is going to be the big one I put up next. Well, Rise of the Primarch, this is my plan. Rise of the Primarch, then the Sabbath Worlds series that I did, with some tweaks. I've got to make some tweaks, so it'll take a bit longer than I thought. But it's mostly done, because it's like a 12-hour video, and the first 10 hours, or 9 hours, are already done, right? They're old videos that I did. And you can... Again, if you watch it and you never watched it before, the first ones are a bit ropey in terms of the audio quality. I think everything is fine in terms of what it is. It's great. In fact, it's fantastic. But I'm that good, right? I'm that good. But you can the quality increases as you progress, and until we get to the last part, which is a much longer. Because I basically. I kept putting off finishing the series because it was like so much work to do, and then and you couldn't really finish the series either because like there was a big gap in terms of what Abnett did between the one book and the War Master one he brought out, or was it one before that? Anyway, and then all of a sudden he brought out this big lore book and extended lore book and 2 novels, and that was after like an 8-year gap. So like then all of a sudden I was like, I've got to finish the Sabbath Worlds cruise. I did everything up to that point, up to the point where the novels stopped and there was a break, and then I came back and did it. Yeah, and then I came back and finished it off. But I finished it off in one big 3-hour single episode. I did like episodes, you get me? Like started off like 10-minute, 15-minute episodes, and then it built up. And like I think my Vervenhive one, I had maps and where the regiments were in the defence and attacks and stuff like this. So I put a lot of effort in, all right? And that ended up being like an hour and a half, and I think at the time that was the longest video I'd ever done, so... The Stonecutter Guilds, I think. I've never heard of the Stonecutter Guilds, unless that's some kind of like Gene Stealer culty thing. I don't know. I haven't listened to the audiobooks. I read them, obviously. I say obviously. Why would it be obvious? You don't know. But I read those books. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. So humble. Yeah, exactly. I'm a humble guy. I'm the most humble guy you'll ever meet. I'm more humble than anyone else. I'm going to have a cigarette, boys. I'll be right back. What's that? Can I put some kind of picture up a minute? Jesus. Oh, that's not right, is it? I guess that'll do. I'll be right back. Oh yeah, there's something in the background. There we go. Give me 5 minutes. I'll go and get another coffee as well, and I'll have a think about what else we're going to ramble about. Where's that gone? Okay. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. I'll turn that down. Does it add ambience? Does it add ambience? Maybe. Where's that gone? There we go. God, look at the mess in the back. I've been looking for some stuff. So yeah, what was I talking about? In this vein, I was going to read through some old stuff from 40k, which is just top quality. So I was having a clean up yesterday. That's the remnants. It was a complete mess in here. Oh, hang on. Oh, who's that? Oh no, there's a baby. Oh no, there's a baby. Hang on, boys. I gotta turn this off. You ain't seen my kid. What do you want? What do you want? I know he's trying to get in. You gotta go with mommy. Oh, you gotta go with mommy. Great. You know what I'm talking about. You okay? You want the dice? You want the money? You can take that money.
That's the people.
The people, all the little people. Oh.
That car.
Oh.
What car? What car?
It's a car, yeah? It's like a car. And the horses.
It's like a car.
It's like your car. Alright. You gotta go with mommy now. You're gonna go to the park. Wow. I'll see you in a minute. Bye bye, Maxie. Okay. Sorry about that. He came to find me. Oh, you could. Okay. Okay. Where was I? I was going to read some of this because it's funny. So, my son out there, he likes to. I got gravel around this shed thing to make it look scenic, and he likes to get his little truck, his front loader, and gather it all up and put it on the floor here. So it was full of little. He's like he's nearly 3. I put it all in the. He likes to pile all the stones up in my office and just leave it there. So I had to clean it up because there was just gravel all on the floor, and yeah. So that was fun. But as I was going through stuff, I found this, and I was gonna, before everything happened, I was gonna do the next big video. I was gonna do was like a video on the Eldar, and it was gonna be because I did a video on the Dark Eldar years ago, and it was one of my first big hits. But I was going to do one like everything, all of them combined into one giant video. And one of my main sources, my favourite sources, is this old Codex. And it's because it's got Inquisitor Sivak's Teachings on the Unholy. Nice little extracts on the disgustingness of the Eldar. So we're going to read through some of these things. And it's also got this amazing little bit. Where was that? I was reading through this last night. There you go. On the first bit. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this? We'll see if it comes up on the camera. Oh. You can't see it, can you? Okay, well, that says Inquisitor Sivak, Teachings on the Unholy, Chapter 8, The Seeming Barbarity of Samhain. And then it's got translator's note. Samhain is pronounced Samhain, in brackets, not Samhain. Inquisitor's note. Translators should learn more respect for their masters. Which I think is quite funny. Well, he's not really into. He's not really into. At the second, he's not really into anything particularly deep. And no, I don't do. I don't do harsh voices with him. No, but you know, he's reading Stanley. You know what I mean? He's reading Stanley books and Thomas the Tank Engine books. You get me? It'd be a bit hardcore if I was just like, you know, Thomas. And Thomas liked to go peep peep very fast. You know, I can't really do that. You know what I mean? Stanley was building a house. All of Stanley's friends were going on a train journey. I can't really do that. You get me? I could, but it'd probably scar him. But yeah, this is full of some amazing bits, and I'm just going to read you a few bits for funs. So this is Craftworld Eldar from 2000. Who's the writers on this? They used to put everybody's stuff in there. Written by Gav Thorpe, Jarvis Johnson, and Andy Chambers. Book art, David Gallagher. I mean, it's like, it's just amazing, you know what I mean? Graphics, Neil Hodgson, Noella Kennedy, and Peter Gosling. Internal art, John Blanche, Carl Kopinski, and John Wigley. I mean, it's like, this is a holy tome of stuff. This is a holy tome of stuff. Look at all the names that are involved in this. And this is just like a supplement from the year 2000. Miniature design. Tim Adcock, Juan Diaz, Chris Fitzpatrick, Jez Goodwin, Mark Harrison, Mike McVeigh, and Gary Morley. I mean, it's mental, right? The names involved in this, the creative minds involved in churning this out. And for them, they were just churning it out. It was just, you know, the love that they put into this is insane, right? But in their minds, it's just product, right? It's new product. We've got to put so much product out every month. Eandan Ghost Warriors. Investigations into the recent history of the Eandan Craftworld can lead to but one conclusion. The Eldar of Eandan are on the brink of total extinction. They have lost many of their number in the long millennia since the fall, and, as with all Eldar, new generations are few and far between. However, it was an attack by a swarm of Tyranids from Hive Fleet Kraken that may have rung the death knell for the Eandan Craftworld. The space-born city was all but destroyed, and thousands upon thousands of its warriors fell in battle against the Great Devourer. They were on the verge of utter annihilation, but despite these horrendous losses, the Craftworld was saved from extermination by the intervention of Pirate Prince Yril and his Eldritch Raiders. However, Eandan is unlikely to ever recover its losses, and it is only a matter of time before the Craftworld becomes lifeless. We can comfortably make the deduction on the basis of one fact: the massive preponderance of artificially constructed warriors in Eandan host. These Wraith Guardians and Wraith Nobles, it's quoted, use the Eldar's advanced knowledge of psychic and soul grafting technology to create a new artificial constructed body for the soul of an Eldar whose body has been destroyed. This reliance on such constructs confirms the belief in the Eandan Craftworld's imminent demise, simply because the creation of these ghost warriors is an abhorrent necessity to the Eldar, who view the process as something akin to grave robbing in their own culture. Not only are they disturbing the eternal rest of the dead, the Eldar are, in essence, creating zombies of their ancestors and forcing them to continue fighting. As one can imagine, this repulsive behaviour would never be undertaken except in the direst of circumstances. This reliance upon the dead has given rise to an increase in the number of psychers, specialised in raising the souls of the Eldar from where they are stored within the Infinity Circuit. These necromantic psychers, or spirit seers, as they are sometimes known to their kind, are adept at communing with the souls of the dead and utilising the sophisticated psychocrystalline technology of the Eldar Spirit Stones. The Spirit Seers demonstrate all of the normal battle magic capabilities of the formidable Warlock Psychers, as well as acting as a node or focus for the spirits roused from their deathly slumber. The presence of a Spirit Seer greatly increases the coordination and flexibility of these undead hosts, and it should be noted that whenever facing such an adversary, a military commander should endeavour to eliminate these spirit seers as a matter of importance and urgency. Inquisitor Sivak, Teachings on the Unholy, Chapter 5, The Necromancers of Iyanden. Not even fought for the day, not even the dead know the end of war. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Steam Tam, yeah, I was saying before, the execution hour video will probably come back soonish. Bear with me, okay? Fantastic. Okay, next bit. I love it, man, because he's like an 18th century sort of scientist talking about like Africa or India. I love it, man. They used to do all this sort of stuff a lot more. And it's full of little jokes and stuff like that, really cool things, and like obvious just disgust for the Eldar. I'm gonna go with Sam Hahn, as the Inquisitor says too. Sam Hahn was reputedly one of the first Craftworlds to flee from the Eldar homeworlds as the fall approached, and it still retains many ties with the primitive Exodites who preceded them. We have found the attitude of other Craftworld Eldar interesting. They consider the Eldar of Samhain feral and barbarous in many ways, further illustrating the rift within this supposedly single race. Reports from our military commanders show that this certainty holds true on the field of battle. The Eldar of Samhain are fierce and proud warriors who seem to value honour much more highly than any of their more sophisticated kin. There's a baby outside. Their bravery is legendary, but their recklessness has frequently led to them fighting wars against other races and even other Craftworlds. It appears that this warrior pride has led them into battle, even when they could ill afford conflict. The most famous of the Samhain are the Wild Riders, who go into battle riding jet bikes and Vipers, and excel at swift raids. We have learnt that these warrior kindreds have much influence on the Craftworld, and nearly all Samhain Eldar, including the Seers, belonging to one of the Wild Rider families. Apparently, it is only during an Eldar's time as an aspect warrior that their ties with their family are forgotten, as their devotion to the shrine overrules all other considerations. In terms of social structure... Thank you, boys. Jonathan Cable's amazing. There's 3 of them that are really good. Really, really good. The guy who did the Fabius Biel audio books I thought was amazing. I can't remember his name. He's really, really good. But in terms of GW stuff, yeah. They're the best. There's some really ropey ones though. Just in general, like I listen to a lot of audiobooks and like there's some really ropey. It's crazy, man. I've got to get in there. I've got to get into the audiobook game. I have to, man. I will be. In terms of social structure, the Wild Rider families bear many resemblance. I mean, look at this. I can just pull this out. You get me? I just knock this out. 10 minutes. Boom. In terms of social structure, the Wild Rider families... I mean, you guys... I did some live streams this week recording the last video. And I mean... If you actually... I've had breaks. I chatted to you guys. Stuff like this. I managed to record a solid, well-edited, well-read, done piece of over 2 hours length in less than 6 hours. Now, that is good, right? You've got to understand this. I know there's a lot of stopping and starting there, but that's in order to get it perfect. It's in order to get it right. Okay? I'm not just babbling it out and leaving in all my clicks. I'm very careful. So, I'm a master of my art. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah. Once you've read Heart of Darkness, though, you can't go back, can you? You know what I mean? Once you've read Comrade, you can't go back. It's like watching Sopranos. I can't read you can't enjoy EastEnders once you've watched Sopranos. You just can't do it. You know, it's just like you can't just watch it. Everything else just becomes slop. Once you've watched high quality stuff, you can't go back. Same thing with books as well. I can't read other stuff. You know what I mean? Once you've read Conrad, once you've read Nostromo, you know what I mean? Like once you've read these things, you're like, it's, you know, nothing compares to you. You get me? Nothing compares. The closest family to this chief forms the kinsmen, who comprise the ruling elite of the family. It is the kinsmen who guide the chief when the Craftworld goes to war, and it is left up to the individual Wild Rider families whether they will participate. Unlike the general conscription and mustering of guardians that is seen on most Craftworlds. This has sometimes led to Wild Rider families actually fighting amongst themselves, although these battles generally take a highly ritualistic form and consist mainly of single combats between champions. These duels can be compared to some of the practices seen in the more primitive Imperial states, jousting and grand melees to decide who has the superior position. These honour duels are not uncommon, although it is rare that they are ever fought to the death. First blood is usually sufficient to determine a winner. Such behaviour, that of frequent in internecine fighting, seems incredible when one considers how few Eldar there are left in the galaxy. Inquisitor Sivak, Teachings on the Unholy, Chapter 8, The Seeming Barbarity of the Samhain. A translator's note, Samhain is pronounced Samhain, not Samhain. Inquisitor's note, translators should learn more respect for their masters. I'm going to put that up as a picture later on. I'll put that on there. I think that's hilarious. That's one of the funniest bits of 40k stuff I've ever seen. An empty mind is a loyal mind. Oh, this mic is the whole setup. You have to buy a little sound box. I've got a Focusrite sound box. I don't really know much about audio production, to be honest. It's just I've only ever learned what I've had to do, if you get me. I've only learned how to do things that I've had to do. I don't, you know, if you presented me with something else, like how to do a radio show or something like this, I wouldn't have a clue. Although I imagine I've got transferable skills, if you get me. Yeah, you know, I mean, I just learned YouTube from scratch, just learning how to do things. As you'd tell, if you've been watching for a while, you've noticed the improvement in quality and whatnot. The mic, a Shure mic like this, I think it cost me like 300. I think the whole setup I've got now cost me 600. But I was just using and then you need software. But the software you can just get Audacity, and Audacity's free. I use Audacity. I prefer that over the Premiere Pro that I actually pay for, because I have to pay for the video editing software. Because most video editing software that's free is awful. But if you want to do this kind of thing, if you want to do something similar, get Audacity. That'll solve all your problems. Watch a couple of tutorials. It's very easy to get a hold of in terms of what you do, depending on what you're doing. But in terms of, like, you know, recording and stuff like that. But you can go and get a Blue Yeti. That'll sort you out for most things, man. You know what I mean? You can upgrade it later, but you don't need to. You can stick with Blue Yeti for a long time. I did for like 5 years. I only got this last year. Or the year before. I probably had this about 2 years. But like for the other 5 years, I was using the Blue Yeti. And it was fine, you know. Especially when I learned some tweaks and how to edit the actual software. It's a bit ropey at first until you learn the little tricks. So yeah, go and get Audacity. Look for Audacity. It's a free software. It's very popular. People use it. It's an excellent piece of freeware. Yeah. I mean, I don't really. I've got a software. You know what you're talking about, Nordstrom. Yeah, I think mine's for an amateur like myself. I think mine's as good as it needs to be. I think it's fine. Here we go. This is good. This is a big one. This is big. You have to forget This is the thing about 40k writing, the lore and stuff like this. You have to remember. You have to remember the context of the universe. Okay. They don't know what you know, right? They haven't got a codex they can read to tell you all about the Tau, right? They don't know. The Inquisitors don't know. This knowledge is lost unless they've got an ancient tome or someone they know. You know what I mean? Or they've got access to a library. And it is usually an actual library with, like, books, you know? They're flying around on spaceships, but they have to rely on books for various reasons. You know, the Mechanicum have got stuff, but they've got their own issues with, like, knowledge retention. And it's like, for instance, there was that whole thing. I read the whole thing about... I haven't read these novels. People tell me they're bad. This new string of novels that were brought out about the Primaris and Gilliman and stuff. I haven't read any of them. I forgot what it's called. It was out, the last one was out fairly recently, but one of the novels, like the third one or something like this, it had a whole part where the Black Templars encounter the Primaris, and they're told they need to start making Primaris, and the Black Templars say that's heresy, kill them all, and they go to war. You know what I mean? Like they fight against the custodians or whatever. And it's like, people were like, that's ridiculous, that's stupid. And it's like, it's not. That's like, within the setting of the universe, that makes perfect sense. I am surprised that hasn't happened more. Like, it would make more sense for that to happen more, for Space Marines to be like, that's heresy, man. That's heresy. And kick off and go to war against the Imperium. Or at least against the Custodians and the Primaris. Because, like, it's an affront, in their minds, to the Emperor's divine plan. You get me? Like, that's how they see the world. And then you see people going, that's ridiculous, my Templars wouldn't do that, they're loyal to the Imperium. It's like, no, they are loyal to the Imperium. From their perspective. From their perspective, this is heresy. You obviously don't understand the universe. Now, there's a difference between that and that stupid story that came out where the Custodians were taking a bunch of Primaris to a world. There's a lot more going on with this, but the simple thing is, the Custodians were taking a bunch of a complement of Primaris to a world, and along with the technology to make Primaris to this existing chapter. And when they got there, they found out that the chapter had turned to chaos, and there was a war going on in their homeworld. And the Custodians turned around and decided to kill all the Primaris they were bringing with them, as if that was a good idea. Now, that's just stupid. That doesn't make sense within the context of the universe. The Primaris would not be that stupid. Like, they wouldn't think like that. You get me? That's stupid. But the Primaris being disgusted and willing to fight the rest of the Imperium, to fight other Imperials over the bringing in of Primaris, to see that as an affront and a heresy, you know, that makes perfect sense. So, like, when you're reading these kind of things, that's why the older stuff is really good, because it really captures that. So, for instance, what were we saying in the chat before I begin? Yeah. I'll let you know, man, but I think I'm all right. Anyway, aware of your interest in alien prehistory, I have sent you this document, a translation by Brother Obulus Mung, keeper of the vaults of lore on Terra, of the markings on the artifacts pictured on the left, found during a recent expedition among the ruins of El Daradanel. Also enclosed are several trinkets excavated from the same site. So there we go, there's some pictures. There we go. Well, the thing with the Krieg is, the Krieg are like the ultimate religious fanatics. They are religious fanatics, like, completely and utterly. That's what Krieg are, and people don't get that. Because they nuked their entire civilization, you've got to imagine the survivors and fighting this apocalyptic war of annihilation. So much so that in order to keep up numbers, they had to start cloning themselves, right? So you imagine that means, right? They've got to get the eggs from somewhere, okay? So you imagine the horrors that were going on in those bunkers and trenches as the Krieg fought for this irradiated wasteland of their planet. Their own sense of... You can understand, right? You can understand how it is only through their own religious faith that they manage to maintain themselves and maintain their civilization, to give them the ability to fight and to win this war. And you imagine the changes that would have occurred in that, when you've got an entire society 100% devoted to a war of annihilation. Within a couple of generations, if that's all you know and that's your entire existence, you understand how that would reshape someone, a culture, a society, and on the individual level. That only through their faith in the Emperor, which is a religion built upon sacrifice, right? The big, you know, the Emperor's sacrifice, Sanguinius' sacrifice. They don't know all the details. They don't know the Horus Heresy. They don't know that. It's all mythology to them. Half-remembered, garbled transmission of events from previous times. All channeled through the liturgy of the ecclesiarchy. You understand? So the reason why the commissars have a hard time with the Krieg is because they're too eager, right? They're willing to just charge a machine gun nest because through death they gain absolution for the sins of their fathers, and they become through sacrifice they become closer to the Emperor. That's the Krieg thing. Death in battle will allow them to enter the halls of the Emperor. And the commissars don't like that, because the commissars are fanatics themselves, but in a different way. They're political officers, right? That's what a commissar is. So they don't like the Krieg because they won't follow up, because the whole regiment will go and like just allow itself to get exterminated in a headlong charge, and they won't listen to them. That's why the commissars hate them. Hello, Zuck. Is that a Space Marine Codex? No, this is the Eldar Craftworld Eldar Codex. As the ancients found to their cost, the universe is a harsh mistress. The desire for tranquility... Oh, did you see the pictures? Look at the pictures. It's all like handwritten little artworks. Like sketches. You know, like one of Napoleon's boys would have made when they went to Egypt. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so funny. It's so good. Quan? No, they're not. No. It's military. They're families. You get me? They're like, it's a population, but they just speed up. You know, they just speed up production of soldiers using cloning. Yeah, that's what the womb things are. They just speed up. They create fast-growing soldiers. So they take the eggs and whatever. They must do. No. I mean, in certain bits of the lore, helmets and weapons and stuff like this will be passed down to new soldiers from families. You get me? And it's like there'll be heirloom weapons and heirloom helmets and, you know, pieces of uniform and stuff like this. So the survivors obviously go back and have kids and stuff like that as well. Maybe just via the cloning process. But yeah, it's a bit more of a complex thing. Don't listen to the memes, man. The memes don't know what they're talking about. They're not vat-grown humans. They're not vat-grown humans. They are... What's it called? Vita womb, right? It's a Vita womb. I forget what it is. Like Vita's Latin for like water or whatever. I don't know. It's something like that. I know what I'm talking about. If you know anything about cloning, like me, so they're obviously putting an egg, a fertilized egg into a thing to speed up, to make it grow faster within this thing, and then so they're just breeding people, but quicker. Like what the Tau do. The Tau do exactly the same thing. The Tau don't have families though, but I think it's a bit more family structured on Krieg. You get me? In vitro. I thought the guy that launched the nuke started some cloning program. Well, they had to. They started. It's not cloning though. It's not cloning. It's not cloning. They're not clones. The Imperium don't do clones, right? They're semi-clones because they're artificially inseminated eggs. That's what I got from this. That's what the original law was, unless they've changed things recently. They could have changed things recently. But they're not clones. The Imperium is not big on clones. This is a bit of the law that has disappeared as well, right? Because it's too close to using technology in that way. The Imperium is all about, well, they don't do that. They don't really do clones, okay? Clones are frowned upon. It happens, but they're very frowned upon. It's a very frowned upon thing. A lot of the older novels, a lot of the older lore will say this. The only time you get vat-grown clones and stuff like this is if they're being used as servitors. Basically, you're just making machines, flesh machines. That's how the Imperium views them. They're flesh machines. And that's better than making a robot. That's acceptable. But they're generally not given consciousness as such, right? They're just grown and then programmed using a bit of technology. Well, there is women. What are you on about? There is women. Dude, I'm telling you. Literally, some Krieg are passed, their helmets and stuff are passed down, their weapons are passed down to the new generation of soldiers. And they go off. It's the same with Cadians, you know? Like the whole thing with the Cadians was 1 in 10 soldiers recruited in Cadia does not leave the planet. They are the Cadian Defence Force. 1 in 10 soldiers will never leave the planet. They are permanently assigned to the Cadian garrison, essentially. And when they retire, they go and have families. And then they make new soldiers. But they don't clone. I'm pretty sure they don't clone in the way you actually know, like cloning occurs. They don't split the eggs and they don't split the. Okay, it's like a sped up thing. But yeah. Well, that's not true. That's not true. It's not like that, Quan. It's not like that at all. Are you reading the Krieg Codex? Have they changed it in the new Krieg Codex? Because I haven't read the new Krieg Codex. But I'm telling you, what 15 years of lore was until this Krieg Codex you're mentioning. Alright? There's novels, there's short stories. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's changed. Maybe it's changed. Maybe they retconned it. I don't know. As the ancients found to their cost, the universe is a harsh mistress. The desire for tranquility is insufficient to ward against those who would shatter worlds and indulge in bloody-handed conquest. In truth, such desires are part of us also. For all of our carefully constructed culture, there beats within every one of us the heart of a savage, one who would crush and maim at the slightest provocation, one who would revel in the defeat of others and in the exhibition of superiority through force. It is fortunate that these primitive flaws are quickly identified by the ancients in the aftermath of the fall. They foresaw the need for protection against the aggression of younger races, and for channeling the negative essence of the Eldar psyche. One who is known only as Ashuraman established the path of the warrior at the time of the fall. He led his people into exile and founded the first of the aspect warrior shrines, the Shrine of Ashur. Where the people once danced to the tune of a splinter pipe and shard harp, now they learn the song of the blade wind. The children of Asuman, the Asuria, carried the ways of Kayla Mencha Cain to other worlds, and the path of the warrior was begun. Ashurman taught that there was a way to embrace the path of the warrior without it consuming the psyche and tainting the soul. This was to pursue but a single aspect of the many forms attributed to the bloody-handed god. The first, such as taught by Asuria, was the aspect of the Dire Avenger, the noble warrior. The Dire Avenger is merciless to his foes and unstinting in his devotion to the people he serves. In time, two of the Ashura, Jainzar and Fugan of the Fiery Heart, founded their own aspects. Jainzar taught that the swift blade and the killing wail of the howling banshee. Fugan taught his followers to cast themselves as the great dragons of myth, unleashing wanton destruction with weapons of flame, and so the fire dragon was born. As the path of the warriors spread, the shrines of new aspects began to appear on many Craftworlds. The Phoenix Lord Morgan Ra vowed to avenge the destruction of Ulthwé, and began the most sinister of aspects, that of the Destroyer, Reaper of Souls. The followers of this aspect of Cain have come to be known as the Dark Reapers. Baroth incepted the Swooping Hawks, the embodiment of ancient myths, to stalk their prey, which depict the hunting birds of the air as symbols of Cain's vengeance. Ara taught his children how to stalk the prey through the shadows, and they became the Striking Scorpions, though their master was lost to them, and none may now speak of his fate. With each generation, he's the Incubi. He goes on to found the Incubi Temple, because they're aspect warriors, the Incubi. With each generation, new aspects gain favour, and old ones fall into disuse, but these firstborn aspects remain eternal. Upon the path of the warrior, the urge toward thoughtless slaughter is redirected into disciplined force and the protection of all. The awful power of war is unleashed only within the tightly confined rituals of the aspect warriors, enabling those who follow such a path to set aside their actions and their burden of guilt as easily as removing the war mask of their aspect. Many of our kin tread the path of the warrior sometimes in their lives. A few return to it repeatedly, flitting from one aspect to another. Some are caught within it until death releases them, becoming exarchs, both admired and abhorred. Those who do not become trapped strive to perfect control over their darker sides, be it beneath the grim visage of the Dark Reaper or the aloof gaze of the Banshee. There we go. There we go. There we go. Let's go to the next bit. Look at this. I mean, just look at the quality of the codexes back then. So good. There you go. Some Talon Desert Rangers. Blast from the past. So good. Little short stories, little vignettes everywhere. Here we go. Here's Sivak. Alaitoc Ranger Force. On occasion, servants of the Almighty Emperor may be fortunate or skilled enough to capture an Eldar alive. The majority of those who fall into our hands are from that caste known by our military forces as the Rangers. These Rangers can provide us with much information about their people, under correct inducements. Over the last 2 millennia, a surprising proportion of these captured Rangers hailed from the Craftworld of Alaitoc. Perplexed by this course of events, my predecessors began a detailed analysis of this Craftworld, which I have attempted to continue. This has been a very hard task, as Alaitoc is one of the most secretive Craftworlds, drifting on the edge of the galaxy. Ever since war broke out between them and the Emperor's righteous armies, following the Belzi conflict, they have shunned all direct contact with other races. Intrigued by the propensity for the Alaitoc Eldar to follow the so-called path of the outcast, I endeavoured to find the root of this from amongst their number. The information I managed to elicit... It's just like mentioning torture, just generally. I managed to elicit was interesting, but unfortunately the subject died before it could reveal anything of depth or detail. Oh, God. They do have instincts for self-preservation. You're misreading it, man. Go on. It's not that they don't have instincts for self-preservation. It's that they do not value self-preservation. They value sacrificing themselves to destroy the enemies of the Imperium. And through that sacrifice, they gain absolution for the sins of their ancestors. You understand? It's not that they don't have any self-preservation. They're not bumbling around. They are holy warriors, right? They are seeking martyrdom. Okay? Do you understand? It's not that they're insane. They're completely sane from their point of view. They're just religious fanatics for their religion, which is the Emperor. That's what's going on, man. They aren't insane. A kamikaze culture. Yes. They are much more. Yeah, that is it. It's much more. I mean, it is essentially Bushido, right? Okay? That's what the Krieg are. It's not that they have no sense of self-preservation. That's not why they're throwing themselves at bunkers with grenades strapped to themselves or charging tanks with bayonets. That isn't why. It's because they are trying to die a glorious death in the name of the Emperor and so gain forgiveness for the sins of their people. Okay? Does that make sense? Am I insane here? Am I insane? Chat, tell me. That's what's going on, right? I'm not wrong here, am I? Tell me, chat. Before we continue this. No, I know, Quan. I know exactly where you're coming from. I don't know whether you've imbibed the full detail of the Krieg. That's all I'm saying, man. Yeah, I think you're misreading it based on the bits that you know. And that's it. How I've explained it is what is going on. It's nothing to do with them not taking their helmet off. They do take their helmets off. They just don't take it off around other people because they view themselves as like sinful and stuff like that. I don't know, maybe I'm making that bit up, but it's just because it's a cool look. You know, they're going to be when they're back in barracks. You know, they're going to be taking their helmets off, right, to eat and stuff like this. It's a cool look on the models. It's a design choice never to represent them without their helmets on. They do take their helmets off, yes, in novels and stuff like this. It's nothing like that. It's not like Mad Max. That is an amazing moment, though. It is an amazing movie. I sometimes have my kid on my shoulders, and I feel like that. I feel like Master Blaster. Yeah. Nordstrom gets it. It's an original sin idea. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, everybody agrees. Yeah, fantastic. I'm correct. Yes. I'm gonna go and give me a minute. I'm gonna go and have a cigarette and a glass of water. I need some water. I'll be back in 2 minutes, and we'll continue our explorations of Inquisitor Sivak's Teachings of the Unholy. It's so funny. That's so funny. He's just casually talking about capturing and torturing these people. All right. I'll be back in a minute. Thank you all for watching. Please do leave a like if you haven't already. I'll be back in... Give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes, boys. Oh, God. I really need to tidy up my bloody OBS thing, man. Be right back. Yo, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. My missus is paranoid about cooking chicken. She just had to check the chicken was cooked. She's got a thermometer and everything. She's still paranoid about it. Right, we'll get through some of these. Okay, where was I? The information I managed to elicit was interesting. The information I managed to elicit was interesting, but unfortunately the subject died before it could reveal anything of depth or detail. It appears that the Eldar of Alaitoc are the most puritanical adherents to the culture known as the Path of the Eldar, that lifestyle by which an Eldar will dedicate itself to the pursuit of knowledge in one sphere of life at a time. This zealous attitude has led to many of the Alaitoc Eldar becoming rangers, either made outcasts by their masters for some slight misdeed, or tiring of the harsh discipline of their craftworld. For some, the very isolation which the Alaitoc Eldar value has only served to heighten their curiosity and inquisitiveness regarding the greater galaxy. Although disenchanted with their craftworld, those on the path of the outcast still remain loyal to Alaitoc, and many of them return to it in due course. Due to its isolation, the Craftworld makes much use of its many rangers to gather news, keeping it informed of the actions of other Craftworlds and alien races, so that the Alaitoc might respond if necessary. When the Alaitoc fight a war, they gather their many rangers through the webway, sending them ahead of their main force to sow disruption and anarchy in their enemy's army. The rangers are highly skilled at destroying supply dumps and ammo caches, pinning down units trying to attack, and generally breaking apart any coordination and cohesiveness the enemy army might have. When the Alaitoc make their major attack, the enemy will already be half defeated, having spent days or even weeks chasing shadows. They will be desperately trying to gather together the fragments of their army into a fighting force. Inquisitor Seaback. Teachings on the Unholy, Chapter 9. The Tyranny of Alaitoc. Nothing can hide, fought for the day. Nothing can hide from the wrath of the Emperor. There we go. The Biel-Tan Swordwind. Biel-Tan is located toward the southern rim of the galaxy, at the edge of what is believed to be the extent of the ancient Eldar Empire. Amongst the Eldar, the Biel-Tan have a well-deserved reputation for being warlike. Their name means rebirth of ancient days in the Eldar tongue, and it is the Biel-Tan who have taken it upon themselves to strive to rebuild the glory of the Eldar. To this end, the Eldar of Biel-Tan place greater importance upon the path of the warrior than other craftworlds do, for they know that if a new Eldar Empire is to be forged, it will be done in the heat of battle and with much bloodshed. The assembled war host of Biel-Tan is known as the Bazhak-Khaine, meaning the Swordwind, or Tempest of Blades. The Swordwind relies on a single attack which uses surprise and the immense fighting skills and firepower of its aspect warriors to annihilate the enemy in one swift blow. This kind of attack has proved particularly devastating against the Sword. The Swordwind relies on a single attack which uses surprise and the immense fighting skills and firepower of its If I had an editor, if I could afford to pay someone to edit the things I ramble, like the audio recordings and stuff like this, I'd be able to make so much content. I just can't afford one. To this end, there have been countless because I could just ramble off, and it'd be like, stop there, cut that, start again. But because I have to do it, it's time consuming. To this end, the Swordwind employs numerous wave serpents and falcons to move its units into position, from which the aspect warriors then launch a devastating all-out attack, smashing into the enemy and giving them no chance to recover. This kind of attack has proved particularly devastating against the Swordwind's most favoured type of target, enemy colonies. The Biel-Tan apparently see any colonisation by other races as a threat to the future growth of the Eldar Empire. It is their philosophy that it is better to eradicate any usurpers as soon as possible before the enemy becomes well established. To this end, there have been countless conflicts between our military forces and the Biel-Tan Craftworld. Often, the explorators of the Adeptus Mechanicus discover and colonise worlds near to Biel-Tan's course, only for the Eldar to launch an attack and wipe out the settlers. Thus, we must provide heavy garrisons for newly established worlds on the southern rim to protect colonists from these sorties by the Eldar, draining valuable resources for battles elsewhere. If Biel-Tan were to be eradicated, this would relieve an incredible pressure on our military forces. However, despite my numerous petitions to this effect, there has neither been the military might nor the political will to do this. Funny, man. The Swordwind has fallen upon other alien races as well. The Orcs in particular are hated by Biel-Tan, as they can rapidly spread across a newly colonised world, with the proliferation which we ourselves find hard to forestall. The starships of Biel-Tan constantly hunt across the stars to destroy Orc spacecraft before they can find a world to engulf with a tide of green warriors. There have been many accounts through the millennia of the Biel-Tan Eldar arriving to help a beleaguered Imperial garrison, fighting against the Orcs, only for the aspect warriors to turn on their erstwhile allies once the Orcs have been destroyed. The leaders of the Swordwind also see it as their duty to protect the Exodite worlds from alien invasions too. As the Eldar of Biel-Tan see it, when the time comes for the Eldar to emerge from the shadows and reclaim what is rightfully theirs, the Exodite worlds will be the first staging point for conquering the worlds of other races that have spread across the galaxy. Many an incautious expeditionary force has made planetfall on a world not knowing that the Exodites inhabit it, only to find themselves swept away by the ferocious attack of the Swordwind. Inquisitor Sivak, Teachings on the Unholy, Chapter 111, The Belligerence of Biel-Tan. Alright. Ulthwé, the Damned. Ulthwé is known amongst the craft worlds for the many Eldar who follow the path of the Seer and the path of the Warlock. This is believed to be due to the craft world's proximity to the chaos-shrouded Eye of Terror. The Ulthwé make the claim that they need their numerous Farseers to keep watch for the many and varied guises of chaos, but those from other craft worlds often hint that it is the Eye of Terror itself which has tainted the inhabitants of Ulthwé and exaggerated their psychic potential. Whatever the reason for this trend, when the warriors of Ulthwé go to battle, they are always accompanied by many of their powerful psykers. Of all the craft worlds, I believe that it is Ulthwé that interferes the most with the affairs of other races. The craft world's many psykers can foresee future events with a greater precision and for a longer duration than those of other craft worlds. Led by the infamous Eldrad Ulthran, the Seer Council seems to be constantly diverting the course of history to their own ends, and, consequently, warriors from Ulthwé are frequently sent on missions to subtly alter the balance of fate in battles that will ultimately concern their home. Now, I would guess that we ourselves have suffered from this callous manipulation many times in the past. It is from these enigmatic and often seemingly contradictory conflicts that the Eldar have earned their reputation for random and capricious behaviour. A certain number of my predecessors widely, some might say wildly, attributed some of our most cataclysmic conflicts to interference from Ulthwé. Amongst these are named the Second Battle for Armageddon, the Sanapan Scaring, the Mortis Annihilation, and the Third Coming of Orion. There is yet hope, though, for this continuing reliance on psykers has left the craft world lacking in the skilled aspect warriors. The path of the Seer is the longest and most dangerous, leaving little time for an Eldar to tread the path of the warrior. To compensate for this, Ulthwé maintains a considerable standing army of Guardians. Usually Guardian units are raised as and when they are required, much like our own planetary militias. The Black Guardians are known throughout the region, around the Eye of Terror, both as saviours and dreaded foes. Inquisitor Sivak, Teachings on the Unholy, chapter... I don't even know. What's this room Roman numeral? XXXVI. What number is that? That's 1,100... No. 10,000. Is it? Have I gone insane? XXXVI. What is that? $36. Oh God. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. God, I was thinking it was 111. I'm not. Okay, I don't speak Latin. All right, I don't do Latin. I've only got a rough understanding. I've never seen a number that big. 36. That's crazy, man. Okay, yeah, I understand now. Okay, I understand how to read Latin. That makes perfect sense to me now. Okay, I'm not a complete moron. 10. Yeah, but I was thinking it was. I was thinking it was 1. I don't know what. Don't. All right, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Okay, the living craft. Now, this is a big, important piece of the lore about Craftworlds. The reticence of the Eldar concerning their vast spacecraft, the disaster of the fall, warp tunnels, the substance known as Wraithbone, psychic engineering, and peculiarities of Eldar technology, the Craftworld states contemplation on the extinction of this race. I'm assuming this is Sivak again. Okay. It's a nice piece. During my time amongst the Eldar of Ayanden, I learned much of the vast ships in which they travel through our galaxy. I like the framing. I learnt much of the vast ships on which they travel through our galaxy. It's beautiful. It's so well written, all the stuff, because it's like it's they never divert. They never use any kind of anachronistic language to describe things. It's always on point. The old stuff was always amazing because it's just a little thing there. Our galaxy, through which the Eldar travel through our galaxy. Okay. As I learned much of the vast ships on which they travel through our galaxy. As was so often the case with this proud and imperious race, much that I learned was pieced together from chance conversations over a period of many months with my hosts. 1. Editor's note. They did not take kindly to questions from an ignorant Monkai. This said, I am sure that mine is the most accurate description of the Craftworlds yet available in the Imperial language. Although the Eldar are averse to talking of their history before the fall, from what I could determine, it is likely that even in those times the Eldar travelled the galaxy in vast trading ships called Craftworlds. These early Craftworlds were considerably smaller than now, but nonetheless they were still self-contained communities housing hundreds of Eldar families. A typical trading mission might take the Craftworld away from its home planet for centuries, travelling thousands of light years beyond Eldar space before returning home. These Craftworlds developed such a strong sense of independence that they were unaffected by the general malaise of Eldar society that occurred before the fall. For a fuller description of this calamitous event, I refer the reader to the previous chapter. Is there a previous chapter? Or is that just an in-joke? That's just an in-joke. I think that's just an in-joke. Okay. That's just setting the scene. Because a Craftworld might return home only 3 or 4 times in 1,000 years, the decline of their civilization was all the more apparent to them, whilst those who remained behind grew accustomed to the slow degeneration, and so failed to heed the danger signs. Boiling the pot. In the final weeks leading to the fall, the returning Craftworld crews found their worlds in ruins. They rescued those who were still sane and fled into the depths of space through the rapidly collapsing warp tunnel network. Many Craftworlds lingered too long trying to rescue their kin, drifting in orbit at the moment of the fall. They were destroyed by the psychic overspill or sucked into the warp and consumed. Those lost Craftworlds are still mourned by the survivors. So it was that the Eldar trading Craftworlds became, along with the Exodite worlds, the last bastions of what had once been a proud empire that ruled our galaxy. You'll notice as well the Dark Eldar are around at this point when this is written. But for an Imperial, they don't know about the Eldar. They don't know. They don't really understand the distinctions between them. They don't know about Kimura. So they definitely don't know anything about Vulcan getting lost in the webway or anything. Like, they got no comprehension of this. They don't know anything about that. You understand? It's the knowledge is like really valuable. Knowledge is power. How swiftly had been laid low, and what a powerful reminder for us of, or so it was that the Eldar trading Craftworlds became, along with the Exodite worlds, the last bastions of what had once been a proud empire that ruled our galaxy. Our galaxy. How swiftly the mighty have been laid low, and what a powerful reminder for us all of the insidious dangers of vice, corruption, and decadence. But I digress. In our own times, many thousands of years after the fall, Craftworlds still travel through space, but they are also linked to other locations via a system of warp tunnels, which stretch through the galaxy. Long before the fall, the Eldar had learned how to make these holes. It is likely that originally nearly all Eldar planets and Craftworlds were interconnected by warp tunnels. However, during the fall, a great part of the network was destroyed, so that travel is not as easy as it once was. Some tunnels were attacked and destroyed by demonic intrusions, their entrances sealed or destroyed to keep chaos from swallowing entire Craftworlds. Other tunnels simply collapsed, or the places they led to were left desolate. Today, the tunnel network still connects Craftworlds to each other and to millions of places throughout the galaxy, but there are significant gaps in the system, leaving some Craftworlds isolated. Because of the partial breakdown of their warp tunnel network, the Eldar find it almost impossible to reach certain parts of the galaxy and must rely on the slower method of space travel instead. Hello there, Edward. Well, yeah. I mean, I've never done maths in Latin. I didn't know how to read that. I've never had to do actual mathematics in. You know, I know the Roman numerals, but that's what was confusing me. I've never had to actually do that. It's interesting to me. It's interesting how. That'll be very interesting to me. I'll remember that next time I'm like reading something, you know, some Plutarch or something like this, because it changes the way you perceive the world. It's interesting. I know what I'm talking about, boys. I know what a qubit is, all right? I've just never had to do that. That was very interesting for me. I've learned a lot from that little thing there. Since the fall, the original Craftworlds have grown considerably in size, so that they are now 10 or 100 times larger than the original trading ships which lie at their core. The Eldar use a mysterious substance known as Wraithbone in our own Wasn't there some controversy about this, that the GW had retconned what Wraithbone was? So this might actually be quite interesting. Known as Wraithbone in our own tongue. to make the skeletal cores of their buildings and spacecraft. I was never able to determine how the Eldar manufacture this extraordinary and resilient material, although I was able to deduce that much as the skeleton of an animal provides a framework for its fleshy tissue, so the Wraithbone of an Eldar spacecraft is a living core around which its functional structures are arranged. The Wraithbone not only gives the construction its rigidity, but also channels psychic energy. This facilitates internal communication between systems, transmits power, and enables the craft to act as an organically integrated whole. In this way, the Wraithbone not only performs the mechanical tasks which a bony skeleton would perform in an animal, but also the role of the nervous system and bloodstream. The Wraithbone core of a spacecraft is surrounded by a structure which is literally grown into the required shapes. This is accomplished by a special class of Eldar called Bone Singers. These Bone Singers use their psychomorphic talents to accelerate the formation of psychotropic crystals around the Wraithbone. They then shape the resulting mass with fibrous bulkheads supporting walls, floors, and conduits. One of the enduring memories of my stay on Ayandon are the times that I spent in the presence of the Bone Singers. Their songs still haunt my dreams to this day. This is interesting though as well, because you can, I know this, vets use vibrating sort of bass, it's like bass notes causing vibrations to accelerate bone regrowth in like horses. When a horse breaks their leg, if you don't want to put them down, you can repair the leg by strapping one of these things to them, and it accelerates the bones stitching together. It makes the bones grow more. It's an interesting fact. Why does the Eldar split? Why does they... Well, they never really split, right? So, okay. So, as this was saying, the Eldar were a big... this diverges from some of the agreed lore, actually. This is really interesting. So, the lore of the Eldar is they are a race that was created by the Old Ones to fight in the wars of... they were created around the same time as the Orcs. They were created to fight the Necrons. And when the Old One were wiped out, these guys just carried on existing. And they developed and they built an empire, right? They spread and advanced and became an empire across the stars. But as this is saying, it wasn't like the Imperium of Man. It wasn't as densely populated. And it was all, for the most part, built by using the webway, which the Old Ones had taught them how to use. And connected everything. They didn't really have space fleets like the Imperium does. They didn't use warp travel like they don't now. They don't use warp travel like the Imperium. They use web gates and stuff like that. Which is why the Imperium spread more. You get me? So, during the Eldar and the Human Empire came into conflict, and when the Human Empire collapsed, the Eldar Empire took advantage of this and attempted to destroy, like, push the humans back as well. But what happened was there was a giant warp storm developed, which was the birthing cries of Slaanesh. And Slaanesh is the collected. Right. So the Eldar, as this is saying, the Eldar were a very psychically attuned race because the Necrons created them, and they fell to like utter depravity, sensory overload, like disgusting stuff that I couldn't even mention on YouTube. But use your imagination. The very worst Hellraiser stuff mixed with, the most debauched things you've ever heard. All right, it's just like the worst. Their entire society collapsed due to this, and that collected psychic power, because they are as a race very powerful within the warp. That collected psychic power eventually gathered together and birthed a consciousness, an entity. And that was the god Slaanesh. And when that was born, its birthing consumed the souls of the majority of the Eldar. And because they were all linked to it, And all Eldar are linked to Slaanesh, because essentially Slaanesh is the chaos god of the Eldar, but also of all depravity and sensuary stuff, you know what I mean? Excess, emotional excess, pleasure, the prince of pleasure, this is what it's called. For all psychic power, from all races. But it is uniquely linked to the Eldar because they are the prime instigators of its birth. Now, as this is saying, it deviates slightly. The lore really kind of just says that the Craftworlds fled before. They were a group of sort of more Puritan guys, and so there was a group of more Puritan guys who were like, I say Puritan, that's the best way to describe it, who weren't as debauched as everybody else, who were like, this is messed up, what's going on? They fled first, and they decided to live a more rural life, and you can maybe say that's success because it's giving into like, you know, they wanted to, their excess was living a simple life, okay? But anyway, that's a deeper question. They left first. They're the Exodites. They lived a primitive life, farming and stuff like that, riding around on giant lizards. Simple. It's just a simple life. The Craftworld Eldar are ones who, like this is saying, and also people who, towards the end, realised it was going wrong and attempted to flee. And then you've got this element here with these trying to get people, and they were already on these ships, you know. The dark, and that's what happened. And like the ones who got far enough away from the Eye of Terror and the main Eldar population zones, they were able to survive because they weren't sucked in and consumed by the birth of Slaanesh. Now, the Dark Eldar, and this has changed slightly. I know they've changed the lore here because Astrobal Vect was considered the first Dark Eldar, and he's still a very prominent figure. But I don't think he's. I think it's like they tell it like that's the story he tells, but it's because he basically killed everybody else. A group of the Eldar fled into the Webway as the galaxy was collapsing. And there's two versions of this. Astral Vect is more prominent in the one. But basically, the Dark Eldar are people who fled, or Eldar who fled as the galaxy was collapsing, as the Empire was collapsing, as Slaanesh was getting birthed, and people were just getting, their souls getting sucked in. A lot of Eldar fled into the Webway, and that protected them because they weren't actually part of the material universe. And the Webway is protected from the warp because it's, you know, warded and guarded. And they went into these sort of pocket dimensions and stuff like this. And eventually, one of them became Kimura, and Astrobal Vect, they were like noble families and stuff like this. They set up a whole society there based on the old society. And instead of doing what the Eldar did, which was become a much more restrained, they went the opposite way. The way to prolong their lives and to stop Slaanesh from sucking them dry is to cause pain and horror and torture and torment on other people and breathe. And they basically, like, their souls breathe in that pain. And that's what feeds Slaanesh rather than their souls. That's why the Eldar are so cruel. That's why the Dark Eldar have to do these things. Because they're sucking in pain and torment. That's why they go out and enslave people. They bring them back to Kimura. They torture them. They whatever. They use them in gladiatorial fights. They're just evil. They're like just an evil people. But the reason why is for this. They're using other people's souls as basically like a shield, and to sort of feed their soul and rebirth their soul. So if they don't kill anyone for a while or commit torture and pain on people, they start withering. They start getting aging because their souls are being leached by Slaanesh. And the only way to stop that, is to commit acts of torment on other people. And then that feeds their soul and re-energizes them, and also wards off, you know. So they have to do that stuff like daily. You get me? And that's the big break between the Eldar. So whereas the Craftworld Eldar and the Exodites adopted a new culture, the Dark Eldar did too, but it's basically the old Empire culture, just up to like even worse. So like they delved into that even more than the old Eldar did in order to survive. And that's the difference between the Dark Eldar and the other Eldar. Yeah, no. No, Fatburst going to... Exactly. Exactly. The Harlequins are different. The Harlequins, they existed before. So the Harlequins are the followers of the god Kagarak. And Kagarak is the guy who he's the trickster god. And it's also hinted, so the gods, the Eldar gods, are much like the Imperium stuff. Like this is metaphysics of the warp, right? This is the metaphysics of the 40k universe. And as an example, in order to explain the Eldar, I'll just explain like the Sanguinius thing. Okay. So, who's Sanguinius? He's a Primarch. He sacrifices himself for the Emperor. He becomes one of the big icons of the Imperial Church. Right? People worship the Emperor and they worship the Sanguinius as well as an aspect of him, like a saint. Like a saint would in Christianity, okay? They pray to a saint. Or like in other religions, you know, you pray to a particular god or whatever. Right, whatever, right? I'm not getting into all that. But what I'm saying is, because of that, Sanguinius is dead. But what that has created within the warp, people's devotion to the Emperor via Sanguinius, or belief in Sanguinius as like this big martyr, it has created within the warp a spirit of Sanguinius. People's faith has fed this, because that's what the warp is. It mirrors the material universe. A better example would be, I'll talk about another example and it'll make it even more clear when I discuss the Eldar. Right, so I've got to explain all this. So, what that means, what that has manifested in recently is the, oh God. What's the Blood Angels guy? The Sanguinor. So the Sanguinor is like a space marine. So obviously that connection is also, and also the fact that there's also the new lore, I guess, with the heresy stuff, like the Primarchs aren't really dead because they're kind of spiritual entities anyway, like given human form. So they're kind of like, they are like a demigod. But anyway, that has manifested in the Sanguinor, who is an avatar, like the avatar of Cain is to the Eldar, from the blood god. The Sanguinor is an avatar of belief in Sanguinius. Another example would be the Tau god of the dead now. So the Tau have got a god that's been born in the warp and loves them and protects them, and they hate it. And the reason they hate it is because they don't believe in any of that stuff anyway. And it hasn't really come from them. What it's come from is all these other races, humans, all these dozens, hundreds of races they brought within the Tau Empire. They have all started to believe in the greater good, but not just as a philosophy. I mean, whether you... All right. It's going to get too deep, so I'm not going to mention Plato. I'm not going to mention Plato, right? We're not going to go into that. What I'm saying is, the reason why this God exists is because all the other races' belief in the greater, and the Tau themselves, has but the Tau got very low souls, right? So this wouldn't have happened if it was just the Tau in the Tau Empire. It's because all these other races believe in the greater good. It has created within the warp an entity based on all these swirling emotions that is the God of the greater good. It is multi-armed. It's when it shows itself, it represents itself holding all the different, in one hand it's holding like an Imperial eagle. In another hand, it's holding like a Kroot fetish. In other, all these different alien, whatever the sort of main symbol is of that represents these races, and they're all held by this Tau-like entity. Now, the Tau hate this, and it's caused a schism within the Tau Empire because the guys who saw this understood immediately on a spiritual level, this is an abomination. It is a mockery of everything we believe, right? We're looking for a universe free of this nonsense. And now they're starting to exterminate anyone who isn't Tau. So there's a schism occurring within the Tau Empire. It's quite interesting. So now let's explain the Eldar with those two little things as context, okay? And the Emperor himself as well, similar. The Eldar gods were probably originally old ones. And they still might. But the Eldar's belief in these old ones, this super intelligent race, the first race, who created other races, created the Eldar. The Eldar understood them as gods. So their belief in the gods has made them a god. And it's kind of like the Emperor saying, I'm not a god, but people's belief in him as a god has made him a god. Because the warp mirrors human emotion. And the stronger the psychic power and the stronger the faith, I should say, that's why within the 40k universe now, there's been there's been a lot of like saints and stuff like this born and things like this, because they are literally drawing on the power the Emperor is either sending them this power from him through the warp and turning them into an avatar of himself, or they're just being these saints are just being created randomly for whatever reason, selected to become a saint, much like the Sanguinor. He's kind of just like a spirit entity given form as a Blood Angel Space Marine, but he's an avatar of Sanguinius. Does that make sense? So, the Eldar gods probably were initially just old ones, but now they are definitely gods as well. I don't know what point I was trying to make. So Kagarak. So Kagarak was probably initially... Kagarak's an interesting one, because there's the trickster Catan, all right? There's the Catan, who was a trickster, who was also a god. But they're a god of the physical world. They aren't psychic entities, really, but they still eat souls. It's interesting. But Kagarak is an Eldar god who is a trickster god. And all the Harlequins follow Kagarak. And their souls belong to Kagarak. And Kagarak controls the Black Library and all this stuff. But Kagarak has his schemes and his plans. And essentially all of the Harlequins belong to Kagarak, the trickster god. So they're safe from Slanesh because they follow Kagarak. They've embraced Kagarak's dark trickster thing. The Deceiver is the Catan guy. Yeah. So, because the Deceiver can... I won't get into all that, but that's essentially... Does that all make sense? Does that make sense, chat? Have I gone insane? Is this presentation making sense to you? The frog people. Yes, the Catan were frog people. Cool. I appreciate that, lads. I'm glad it does make sense. I've tried to explain it as simply as I could. I always go by that. If you can't explain something simply, you haven't understood it. And there's a lot I don't understand. So I try and be very careful with what I say. But I think that's essentially correct. Without going into too many asides. Where were we? The results. The resulting shell the Bone Singers manufacture is such a crude term. If such a crude term could be used for their sublime art, it completely surrounds the Wraithbone core and forms the hull and major internal divisions of the spacecraft. The same process is used to make any larger structures, including vehicles, but spacecraft are typical works of Eldar psychic engineering, and serve as a good example of the process. Individual systems can be either fabricated on board the ship by psychomorphism or made elsewhere and installed subsequently. Most of the craft's operating systems are connected directly to the Wraithbone core. The many thousands of systems draw power from the Wraithbone and are constantly monitored and ultimately controlled through it. Because of the unique practices of Eldar psychic engineering, any Eldar construction, whether building, vehicle or spacecraft, resonates with sympathetic psychic energy. The Wraithbone core provides a psychic channel through which an Eldar can evaluate and control various mechanical functions. This is the basis on which Eldar technology is achieved. Although it is very different from simple mechanical processes used by us humans, individual devices and structures usually look similar to comparable human artifacts. As a general rule, Eldar artifacts have an organic, flowing appearance and tend to lack the prosaic design and hard angular edges of many of our own devices. By necessity, each Craftworld is a self-contained and self-sustaining biosystem with zones which contain forests and natural flora, as well as urbanized areas. These natural zones act as green lungs, furnishing a breathable atmosphere and providing renewable sources for the Eldar. Vast space docks are located on the outside of the Craftworld, housing fleets of spacecraft. These fleets carry the Eldar armies through the warp tunnels, which connect the Craftworld to the rest of the galaxy in order to carry out the policy of the Craftworld, whatever it may be. Since the fall, each Craftworld has become an independent state, for want of a better term, which conducts its own affairs and wages its own wars. Craftworlds do sometimes ally together to face a common threat or to achieve a common objective, but such alliances are usually temporary and have no lasting significance. Of course, all Eldar are united by a common culture and racial identity, but that means little when it comes to defending the interests of their own particular Craftworld. That said, for one Craftworld to actually assault and attempt the destruction of another would be regarded as a terribly wasteful and purposeless enterprise. Although such calamitous events have happened in the past, they are not common. Having spent so much time amongst the Eldar, I can say that I am thankful for this. The Eldar as a race can be cruel, callous and unfeeling, but speaking as one who has spent much of his time travelling the galaxy, albeit unwillingly, I can say without reservation that the Eldar Craftworlds are one of the most beautiful and wondrous creations I have ever seen. Their loss would be a calamity, not just for the Eldar, but for all civilized creatures. There we go. Yeah, I mean, that the whole thing with machine god and machine spirits and stuff like that, it's a big thing. It is good lore. It's amazing lore, and it's just like a little supplement. They just banged out in 2000. You know what I mean? It's really good. It's up there with some of the best stuff. You know, it feels like Andy Chambers. It feels like Andy Chambers wrote it, but I don't know. I feel like that's his writing style. At least some of it was. But there's a couple of them writing it. But I mean, it's all great stuff. It's all great stuff. Oh, here we go. Here's the opening. This is the opening. The first thing one must learn about the Eldar is that they are a race of fragments, broken and scattered across the galaxy. In culture, geography, and technology, the disparate elements of the Eldar race vary wildly. Even within a single sub-race, the so-called kindreds of the Craftworld Eldar, Exodites, Dark Eldar, and the mysterious Harlequins, there is great diversity of tradition and attitude. This treatise concentrates on that faction of the Eldar race which traverses the galaxy in gigantic stellar vessels, the Craftworlds. The accumulated wisdom of centuries is contained within this tome, shedding light on their beliefs, customs, military strength, and most importantly, their weaknesses. What little information I have gleaned concerns only the 5 largest and most infamous Craftworlds. In examining these separate cultures, we shall witness the divisions that have sundered the Eldar from one another, even when ostensibly of common heritage. Remember, though, there can be no pity for the plight of the Eldar. Indeed, the honoured savant of the Emperor should rejoice that an alien race is on the decline, that the Eldar's extinction shall pave the way to ever greater ages of conquest and glory for the Emperor and mankind. Compassion is reserved for servants of the Emperor. Aliens deserve only our scorn. Inquisitor Sivak, Teachings on the Unholy. Oh, that's so good. I think we should read that again. Remember, though, there can be no pity for the plight of the Eldar. Indeed, the honoured servant of the honoured servant of the Emperor should rejoice that an Eldar race is on the decline, that an alien race is on the decline, that the Eldar's extinction shall. I'm going to read this again. All right, so you get the full. Okay. Remember, though, there can be no pity for the plight of the Eldar. Indeed, the honoured servant of the Imperium should rejoice that an alien race is on the decline, that the Eldar's extinction shall pave the way to ever greater ages of conquest and glory for the Emperor and mankind. Compassion is reserved for servants of the Emperor. Aliens deserve only our scorn. Well, trinities are a thing within all, it's a commonality, It's like history, it rhymes, I think I'm going to leave it there, boys. Thank you all for joining me as I ramble. I'm trying to do streaming more often, like I used to. I was going to play some Horus Heresy Legions, but I can't be arsed now. I'm going away tomorrow anyway, so tomorrow. I've got to go and hoover my car, basically, because it's a right mess. I went to the tip yesterday. You don't need to know all this. I need to go and hoover my car. I've got stuff to do. It's 1:45 now. I've got to have my dinner as well in a minute. I'm going to go. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for your continued support on the channel. And I really, really appreciate it. Have a good week. I'll be back next week with more stuff, probably live streaming. And the week after that, we'll have a new video out. If you haven't watched the new video, please do go and give it a look. I hope you enjoy it. And we rebuild, we make new stuff. I'm hoping for some sun. It's a seaside trip. I'm hoping for some sun. I don't know whether it's going to happen. It does seem to be brightening up a little bit though now. We'll see. But yeah, I'll see you later. Ta-ra. Have a good one. Enjoy your time. I'll see you soon. Be back for more. See you later. Bye-bye. Let's turn this off. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.